Now today we are going to learn about the cranial nerve. There are 12 cranial nerves which is present. So first of all we have to start with this is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's up to 12. So in order to memorize in a proper way, in a simple way, you have to learn know that. Just learn this that memorize Utta Fagba. It's Uttafagh. So we can summarize like that. This is U Ut Titi Utta Fagwa. So the first cranial nerves which we know that it is first cranial nerve is O. So it means we can say it is a olfactory nerve. The second one we can also say that it is a optic nerve. Optic nerve, it's olfactory nerve. This is oculomotor. This is trochlear nerve. This is the fourth cranial nerve. We can also say it is a trochlear nerve. And the fifth one we can also say it is a trigeminal nerve. Trigeminal. And the sixth cranial nerve we can say it as abducens. Seventh cranial nerve we can say it is a facial nerve. This is eighth cranial nerve, we can say it is an auditory nerve. This is a glossopharyngeal nerve. The ninth cranial nerve we can say it is a glossopharyngeal nerve. Glossopharyngeal nerve. This is the tenth cranial nerve mixed in function. We can also say it as a vagus nerve. This is an accessory nerve. 11th cranial nerve we can say accessory. And the 12th one we can also say here that it is the name. Through the name we can also summarize that it is a hypoglossal nerve. So now we are going to learn about the function of nerve. What types of nerves are present? Actually we have to know that there are three kinds of nerves. We can say it is as a sensory nerve, motor nerve, and mixed nerve. So in order to memorize and learn that which cranial nerves is sensory nerves, motor nerve, and mixed in function. So in order to learn this we have to memorize or we have to learn one poem that listen carefully. There are some says money matter, but my brother says big books matter more. Big books matter more. So here you can see that wherever it is written S, it means it is sensory in function. This is, we can say that it is sensory in function. This is, some says S, here is also S, so we can write here it is a sensory nerve. So money, we can say that this is a motor nerve. This is also a motor nerve, and this is the fifth cranial nerve which is trigeminal. We can also that this is mixed in function. We can say that it is sensory and motor. It has mixed function, so we can write here this is both. We can understand like this. Here is the sixth cranial nerve that we called it as abducens. This is a motor nerve. This is again a motor nerve. And facial nerve, the seven cranial nerves we can see here that is facial nerve. It is also both. It means that it is sensory as well as motor both. So we can write here both. And eighth cranial nerve we can say auditory Or we can also say this facial nerve, there's an auditory or vestibulocochlear nerve, we can also say the right here, and that vestibulocochlear. So this is a sensory in function. This is nine cranial nerve. We can say here that it is a glossopharyngeal nerve. This is also both. It means that this is sensory as well as motor. So we can write here both. Again, 10th cranial nerves, which is we call that vagus nerve. It is mixed in function, motor in function, both. So we can write here both. Accessory nerve, 9 cranial nerves. We can say here it is a motor nerve. And 10th, 12th, 11th cranial nerves, we can say are the accessory nerve, it is a motor nerve. And the 12th cranial nerve, which is we call that hypoglossal nerve, it is also motor nerve. So now here we will learn about the role and function of the cranial nerves. There are 12 cranial nerves. We have to memorize like this, that this is there are 12 cranial nerves. We can memorize like this. This is Utta Phagva. We can learn that Utta Phagva, it means O O O. Here just see, this is O O O double T A Utta Phagva. We can also say here. So we have to learn that the first the first cranial nerve, this is O. It means it is an olfactory nerve. Second one is known as optic nerve, and the third one is oculomotor, trochlear, trigeminal, abducens, facials, auditory, glossopharyngeal, vagus, accessory, and hypoglossals. So what are the role and function of the this function? We will discuss about this. The main function. So the main function of the olfactory nerve, it is related with smell. Okay. And the second cranial nerve, now we will see that about the optic nerve, it helps with the visions for looking and see the outside environment. And the third cranial nerve, which we call it as oculomotor, it has motorin functions. And the main function of this nerve, this cranial nerve, the oculomotor, is for the movement and rotations of the eye muscles. We can also say the movement and rotations of the eye muscle or eyeball, or we can write here eye muscles. The fourth cranial nerves, which we call as a trochlear nerve, the main function of this is also, we can say, it helps in the movement and rotation of eyeball. The fifth cranial nerves. The fifth cranial nerve is trigeminal nerve, and this fifth cranial nerve, we say that which is a trigeminal nerve. This is mixed and sensory in function and motor in function as well as. So the main role and function of this is also related with the eye muscles. Is also not related with the eye muscle, but we can say that the face sensation and mastication. Face, the movement of face and mastication purpose, we can see that face sensation and mastication of food. Mastication of food, for the food which we ingest. And the sixth cranial nerve, this is a motor in function, and main function of the sixth cranial nerves is also with eye muscles. Seventh cranial nerve, which is sensory as well as motor, we can see it helps in the movement of face muscles, salivary and lacrimal. So we can it is related with face muscles, salivary. It produces saliva, salivary glands, and lacrimal glands. We can also say that lacrimals, it also produces tears in our eyes for antibacterial properties, that lacrimal glands. And the eighth cranial nerves, which we call that as a auditory nerve or vestibulocochlear nerve, this is also sensory in function. Sensory in function, this which helps in hearing and hearing and balance, which we call that it is used for hearing and balance. Now we will look after about the ninth cranial nerve, which is known as glossopharyngeal nerve. Glossopharyngeal, it is mixed in function and sensory in function both as well as, and the main function and role is it's related with the pharynx, larynx and viscera. No, it's a ninth cranial nerve. This is a glossopharyngeal nerve, which helps in pharynx, tongues and parotid glands. It is related with pharynx, tongue, and we can also say it's related with the parotid gland. Okay, so now we will talk about the 10th cranial nerve, which is also mixed in functions. We can say it is a motor as well as sensory. The 10th cranial nerves, vagus nerve. So the main role and function of this vagus nerves, it is related with pharynx, larynx and viscera. Pharynx, larynx and viscera. So now we will talk about the accessory nerves. The main functions of the accessory nerves, it is related with the neck muscles. It is for the movement, trapezius muscles or sternocleidoid muscles. So the main, it is related with the neck muscles, So what kind of neck muscles we can say here? It's a trapezius, or we can also say it is a sternocleidomastoid muscles. So the next and the last one cranial nerve, which is 12 cranial nerves, we can say it is a hypoglossal nerve. This hypoglossal nerve, this helps in the movement of tongue and neck muscles. So there are total, we can see that here are total 12 cranial nerves. The first one olfactory, second one optic, third one oculomotor, fourth one trochlear, fifth one trigeminal, sixth one abducens, seventh one facial nerve, eight is auditory or vestibulocochlear we can say, and the ninth cranial nerves we can say it is a glossopharyngeal nerve, 10th cranial nerve it is a vagus nerve, and 11th cranial nerve which is known as, which we call it as a accessory cranial nerves, and the 12th and last one we can say it is a hypoglossal nerve. The first two nerves we can say 1 and 2. These are sensory in function. The third cranial nerves oculomotor, this is motor in function. Fourth one trochlear nerve, it is also motor in function. Fifth cranial nerves which we call as a trigeminal nerve, this is both, which means motor and sensory. Okay, now sixth cranial nerve which we call as abducens, this is motor in function. Seventh cranial nerve which is a facial nerve, it is both sensory and motor both in functions. And the eighth cranial nerve auditory or vestibulocochlear, we can say it is sensory in function. The ninth cranial nerve here glossopharyngeal, which is sensory and motor both. 10th cranial nerves both again sensory and motor, and 11th cranial nerve accessory which is also we can say it is a motor nerve, and the 12th cranial nerves hypoglossal, it is also a motor nerve. So here we can also say, we can also learn about that role and function for the olfactory for smell, optic for vision, or oculomotor for eye muscles, and trochlear nerve which we are studying here is for the movement and rotation of eyeball. Fourth cranial nerve trochlear, which is for the movement of face sensation, and the fifth cranial nerve we can for sensation and mastication of food. Sixth cranial nerve which is known as abduction nerve is the eye muscle, for the eye muscle. So here we can also write in 2, 4 and 6, it helps in for the movement or rotation of the eyeball and related to eye. And the seventh facial cranial nerve is for the face, salivary gland, lacrimal gland. So we have to learn here. And the eighth cranial nerve is auditory or vestibulocochlear nerve, which is helpful in hearing and balance of the body. And ninth cranial nerve, which is also known as a glossopharyngeal nerve, which is both in functions, and it is related with pharynx, tongue, parotid gland. And the 10th cranial nerve, which is a vagus nerve, is mixed in function. Okay, so sensory and motor both. So 10th cranial nerves, we can see that it is related with pharynx, larynx, and viscera. 9th cranial nerve, accessory for the movement of neck muscles like trapezius muscle, sternocleidoid, mastoid muscles. And the 12th cranial nerves, which is known as the hypoglossal nerve, it is motor in function, which is, this helps in the movement of tongue and neck muscles.
Get low when the whistle go. Now we talking. Get low when the whistle go. Now we talking.